Yesterday, you might have read in the newspaper about a P&E subcommittee hearing. The subcommittee was taking up 2 second resolutions of constitutional amendments that should, but possibly won't be, headed to the voters this fall. If these constitutional amendments are put before the voters, they will both easily pass, as everyone in this room knows, everybody watching across Virginia knows. Concerning the restoration of rights, after paying one's debt to society, we are an outlier in how we handle these fundamental return of civil rights. In the marriage case, opponents simply do not want to hear from the voters again. Once is enough. We heard from the voters in 2006, and that's just good enough. That's forever. In 2006, voters, by a vote of just 57%, approved a constitutional amendment preventing LGBTQ couples from accessing legal rights afforded to heterosexual couples through civil marriage. While the amendment passed, the world did not stand still. It continued to change. Virginia, the state of my birth, the birthplace of my mother, her mother, my great-grandmother's mother, changed. As part of our growth, I hope that all of us here in 2022 are still seeking full equality for everyone under the law. Sadly, maybe some people think the world has changed at their expense. You read about that sometimes, that somehow they are losing. This might contribute to the fear of letting the people decide both of these issues that are different, yet at base are about how we treat others. You know, I live in a diverse community that pretty much gets along. We value our diversity. Kids grow up learning about the countries that their parents came from and about where their neighbors' parents grew up. If you want to know what it looks like in my high schools, have lunch across the street at the medical campus dining hall. It looks like the kids from my district. In Virginia, it's a wonderful mix, Mr. Speaker. More and more LGBTQ folks have become known to their families, their friends and neighbors, and love for our families and friends has done the job. The opposition has no chance, not a prayer, and they know it. That is why they make up stories like we heard yesterday morning about what might happen, even when these same opponents would oppose any repeal of this language. Fortunately for millions of families, the United States Supreme Court struck down state laws in 2015 that prevented adults who marry who they love after several federal courts had already found the same deficiencies. Our Marshall-Newman amendment was no longer enforceable. The subcommittee yesterday says it has to stay just in case. One witness hoped that this dormant issue would become, quote, effective again if federal law changes, but only if the state law remains on the books. Virginia, this is what our Constitution says. This is in our Constitution now, in 2022. The Commonwealth and its political subdivisions shall not create or recognize a legal status for relationships of unmarried individuals that intends to approximate the design, qualities, significance, or effects of marriage. I'd love to see how that's interpreted when we put that in code. Nor shall this Commonwealth or its political subdivisions create or recognize another union, partnership, or other legal status to which is assigned the rights, benefits, obligations, qualities, or effects of marriage. I mean, that is, someone really worked on that one. And since 2015, no heterosexual couples, you can come to me and tell me later if this is true, but I don't know any that have been torn apart by the trauma of seeing other people happy. Many of our neighbors and friends and their children now have permanence and legal protection that come with civil marriage. We're not telling anyone how to think. We have a First Amendment. We have freedom of association. But we also have a law that we want to be equal under. So it's simply fair. I think few want to go back. Why would they? Would you be happier if other peoples were less happy? Of course not. So the pursuit of happiness is not a zero-sum game. It just isn't. At least 160,000 voters have come of age since 2006. Many, many thousands more have changed their minds. They would like a chance to join the 43% of us who voted no in 2006. As I said yesterday, they want a cleaned up Constitution. Maybe I'm wrong about this. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm misreading the room. But let's see this November. The restoration of civil rights should also be a process that everyone understands, as it is in most states. Let's let the voters decide whether they want to take randomness out of our current, hate to call it a process, the current situation. So my friends, if you are satisfied with the status quo, all you have to do is vote no in November at your local polling place. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.